Welcome to Standard Deviation.
Hey, Ciara.
Hey, Kevin. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm enjoying the weather.
Yeah?
I'm a person who talks about weather now.
Hey, happy 420, man.
Hey, thanks.
Are you going to get high today?
I don't know.
Oh, you should.
All right. You convinced me.
There's this Indian guy on my Discord who was asking what 420 was. It was really cute. He thought it was like a festival.
I mean, it probably is that too.
No, it's just a reason.
probably
It's
festivals.
just the weed number. That's what we explained to him. Like, it's just a weed number. It's just a day people get high, kind of like every other day.
Yeah.
And I think he was a little appalled because
Really?
he's like, you fucking Americans. He was imagining just this like beautiful 420 festival.
I mean, there probably are beautiful 420 festivals, like all over
Yeah, I'm
the
not
place.
saying it doesn't exist, but when someone asks what 420 is or why people care that it's April 20th, it's just the weed number.
Yeah. I wonder why that is. Growing up, I always heard it was like Bob Marley's birthday or
Yeah.
something. There's always some explanation. I wonder where it comes from.
I don't know. It's just a time to get high. Maybe that was like a good after school time.
Wasn't Bicycle Day just recent?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Funny coincidence. That was the day that Robert Hoffman synthesized LSD. Or no, it was the day that he decided to take LSD deliberately for the first time. I think he
Yeah.
synthesized it like 8 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And accidentally took some and was like, hey, whoa. What's
So it
all
wasn't
this?
intentional.
No, the second time
Oh, okay.
was the first time it was intentional. The second time he took LSD was the first time it was intentional.
Okay.
And then he took a bicycle ride home, thus Bicycle Day.
Yep.
That must have been an interesting ride.
Oh, man. I've gone on one bicycle ride on LSD, and it is fucking fun.
I'll bet.
So fun.
Granted, I'm sure it depends on your dose.
Yeah, the more the better.
Yeah, probably not.
I bet it is.
Maybe up to like 2 hits.
I bet it is. I bet the more the better.
I heard about somebody who accidentally took something crazy like 20,000 hits at once,
Oh, God.
and they just passed out. Thankfully, they were just asleep for like half a day, and then
Because it can't kill you.
no.
I mean, I
Not-
guess even
not-
water can kill you, but in that sense,
Right?
like,
Yeah, I guess. It'd be hard though. I mean, that would take a
Yeah.
Like you'd have to really. It
No
would
one-
have to be like the same route that water kills you.
no
you
one's
know?
going to, like, accidentally
Yeah.
kill themselves on acid.
Yeah, there were rumors that what was it? Somebody said that like someone had killed an elephant with acid, but I think it was just like a PR stunt, and they just like murdered the elephant. But then I might be
terrible.
I might be mixing up stories because I know there was an elephant story with Thomas Edison
Okay.
up against Tesla. They were debating AC, I think direct current versus alternating current, AC/DC. And Thomas Jefferson was, or Edison rather, was he was trying to prove how dangerous Tesla's electricity was by using it to electrocute an elephant. And the fact is, I mean, if you electrocute an elephant with any kind of current, it'll kill it. But he straight up murdered an elephant.
Did they come up with a different kind of electricity?
Yeah, they were feuding. I can't remember which one had which type of electricity, but
I thought Edison just stole Tesla's idea.
I mean, he stole pretty much everybody's ideas. That was his thing. He was a patent troll, and he would have people work for him for cheap, and then just patent their inventions and profit off them. Good businessman, but not the stand up scientist people often think.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and an elephant killer.
Well, it's the worst crime of all.
Right? How dare you? Elephants are so they're pretty vicious. I hear.
No. I mean, yeah, they can fuck you up because they're huge.
Yeah,
and
they're
if
big.
they feel threatened, but I don't think they're going out of their way to, like, hunt people. They're not like hippos.
Do you know what I like? Is the little ones. They're cute and
Oh, my
non-threatening.
God. They're like puppies.
Yeah.
Seriously, they're big, giant puppies.
and
If
they
you
like to just
ever
roll
go to,
around.
like an elephant sanctuary in Thailand or something like that, and they have a baby, like, it doesn't realize how fucking big it is, and it will, like, jump on you like a puppy.
That's adorable.
And, like, shake its trunk like a tail. So cute.
Mm.
It's like it doesn't know what its trunk is, and he's trying to, like, shake it off. It's
Yeah.
pretty adorable.
Kind of like dogs are with their tails.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
It's weird how they. No, I mean like dogs will chase their tail. They don't know what it is. you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Elephants more like they're, like, trying to get away from it. I
Yeah.
don't think that's really what they're doing, but it kind of looks like that.
I mean, I guess dogs probably know what it is. They're just having a weird game. I guess. What do you think's going on there when dogs chase their tail? Do you think they're confused or just like it's a challenge? You know.
I don't know.
Seems
I
like
mean, they like once they get it, they have to realize like, oh, that's a part of me because they can feel their own mouth.
What if they never get it?
Well, they're pretty dumb then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are pretty dumb.
So you just showed me UFO footage.
Yeah, so for a few years now, the Pentagon has been either releasing or confirming different UFO footage. This one is the most recent one I've seen. I think it was recorded about a year and a half ago, and the Pentagon just recently said, "Yeah, that's real," and it was a Navy video.
Yeah, I gotta say it was pretty unimpressive. I've seen more interesting looking fake videos.
Yeah,
but it is interesting that NASA is claiming it as something
the
that
Pentagon.
they cannot. Or sorry, the Pentagon is
Yeah, it's a UFO.
saying it's UFO. Yeah, UFO meaning in the literal sense unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily like this is.
Yeah, they don't know that it's aliens.
Yes.
Although, I mean, I've heard other reports of quotes like "not from this world." So in some cases, I think they are. Somebody is claiming that they are alien craft, but yeah, this one, it was a video, and the caption mentioned two different types of things. One was I think they called it an advanced transmedium vehicle, which sounds like transmedium would mean like air and water or land and air, something like that, and spherical. They didn't have footage of that in this particular post I looked at. Maybe it's somewhere else. The other one was pulsating pyramidal UFOs flying overhead. And I don't know what to think of any of this. I remember it was 2017 when the Washington Post released footage of UFOs from the Navy or the Air Force or somebody, and the Pentagon confirmed it was UFOs, and it was like a 5th page story, small article.
So weird.
Nobody freaked out. I couldn't get anybody else interested in it. I kept bringing it up to people. Hey, Washington Post and the New York Times are reporting on UFOs. Pentagon's confirming. Does anybody care?
Wait, this was like last year, right?
No, this is 2017, and it's continued since then.
But like last year.
Oh, they
something like-
reconfirmed it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was originally like
See,
leaked.
I don't remember in 2017,
Yeah.
but I do remember it last year simply because people were making jokes because obviously there's a lot of other news, a lot of social news last year.
There's a lot of news.
There's a lot of news, yeah. I still think aliens should probably be up there at the top 5 at least. I don't know.
Top 5,
But
yeah.
people were joking that like, that, I don't know, the Pentagon's trying to distract us with aliens to
Yeah.
not look at, I don't know, police
Well-
violence. I don't know. But anyways,
Yeah.
that just goes to show like I didn't even catch it in 2017.
Right. Nobody did, and it was major news outlets were covering it, but just nobody cared. Nobody cared. Like nobody. I still don't understand what's happening there, but yeah. Like I have. There's so many different possibilities for what's going on here. One is that it's aliens. 2 is that it's just a fraud. It's some kind of a fake by most likely intelligence agencies who are just experimenting on us, seeing how they can manipulate us, what they can get us to believe, what kind of effect it has, how it spreads. Maybe they're studying virality of major headlines. There's all kinds of reasons they might be lying to us about it. Then there's the other angle that maybe it's aliens and they're lying to us about it. And then maybe it's like maybe you've got actual like conflicts in the government, like the X-Files, where you've got some people trying to release stuff and other people trying to keep it under wraps.
Right.
There's just an infinite range of possibilities as to what's going on. But the most mundane, boring possible explanation is that the United States military and intelligence agencies are lying to us about the existence of aliens. That is the most boring version, which is pretty interesting.
Do you think they should?
Lie to us about. Oh no, I mean like they're trying to get us to believe in aliens when they're
Oh, the opposite. Oh,
yeah.
well,
I'm saying that's the most mundane, boring version, is that they're tricking us into believing in aliens, which is
so
very.
It really is kind of like people are joking on Twitter. They're like, "Hey, look over here."
Yeah, and I mean, there's different reasons for it. Like the government will often, not just the government, but people in general who have to deal with the press will often sit on stories and time them carefully. This is one of Trump's greatest talents. Was anytime he got in serious hot water, he would just create a different distraction somewhere else that would get the headlines, distraction, get everybody distracted, not paying attention to him anymore. And it's like Friday. Fridays are slow news days, or rather, people don't read the news on Fridays as much because they're looking forward to the weekend. So a lot of times, bad news comes out on Fridays, and people just kind of ignore it. So,
Where'd you hear that?
The West Wing. Yeah, I think it was called "Take Out the Trash Day."
Got it.
Yeah,
A fictional TV show.
a very accurate fictional TV show.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so it could be. So the one that you found out about last year was, and the one that people were joking about, that was the Pentagon sort of reconfirming, or the first time officially confirming that it was UFO footage. The footage came from either the Air Force or the Pentagon, and at the time it was released, they had commentary from a Pentagon staffer, I believe, saying it was UFO footage. But then there was trouble getting that confirmed, and so they just kind of faffed around for like 3 years, and then they were like, oh, by the way, that footage from 2017, yes, that is UFO footage. And so that may have been them deliberately trying to distract people from something else. Could have been Trump. Could have been Trump, like, demanded that they reconfirm that it's real UFO footage because he had some controversy brewing. Or it could be a psychological operation. It could be something else. It could be an experiment of some kind. It's hard to say. But, yeah, I do think the most boring explanation is that it's all a lie and we don't have any evidence of UFOs, and for some reason the military's faking it.
That's a weird thing to lie about.
It is.
Because like I misunderstood you earlier. I was thinking like, wow, should we tell, if you're in that position and there's aliens, like, is it a good idea to tell civilization?
It's a good question.
I mean, the fact that that's a question kind of tells you how ludicrous it is that they would lie and say that it's happening.
That it is happening, yeah. And then there's also the possibility that these are just really, really super advanced man-made craft.
Yeah, it could be like Russia or something.
It could be Russia or China. It could actually, I mean, it could be a top secret American program that other American programs don't know about.
Oh, that's an interesting theory.
Yeah, because there's a lot of classified shit. Like, it's not like anybody who has a camera in the Air Force is top level security clearance. You know? So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember my ex was like a mechanical engineer, and he did like some government something that he's like sworn to secrecy. And he told me, he was just like, even if I explained it to you, you wouldn't know what I was talking about because it's just like, high level engineering shit. But he said that like, even with the top secret shit that he knows, he only knows a part of it. So it isn't even like meaningful to him, but he's still like sworn to secrecy on this little piece of the puzzle that he knows, Yeah.
So, and that is a classic way of keeping a secret when you have to organize a lot of people, is you compartmentalize it and you don't tell each one what the other ones are working on. Some of them can put it together. Some of them have to know the whole picture. But for the most part, people are just going to like have a rough idea of what you're getting at, but they're not really going to know. There was that guy that was on Joe Rogan who was a scientist who claimed he worked on reverse engineering alien craft.
Is that the Bob Lazar?
Yeah, and he said that's how they were handling it with him. I still don't know if I believe the guy, but that's what he described, was that he was given a very specific task to reverse engineer just one piece of a craft. That it was like an anti-gravity component. It was a material that hovered naturally, and he was working on like a piece of that. Meanwhile, other people were working on the actual craft. Others were working on like signage or language or something. But I don't know what to think of any of it. I don't know what to think of that Bob Lazar guy.
We tried to watch that documentary, and it was so boring.
Yeah, that documentary was terrible.
Yeah.
But he had interesting things to say, but I don't know. It's not like it's impossible to fake a good story. They also had some weird, sketchy stuff in his past, but then, first of all, that doesn't mean that he was lying about aliens just because something like he was arrested for running a bordello in the desert or something. But then there's another couple things to consider too. One is that intelligence agencies are really good at framing people, right? So like if they were trying to discredit him, that might be the kind of thing they plant.
That's a dumb way to do it. They should be like making him look like a fraud.
Yes. And so it brings it to the other thing, which is that, well, okay, maybe it's true that he ran a bordello, but that doesn't mean he didn't work on UFOs,
Yeah. Seems entirely unrelated.
Yeah. I mean, people are weird. People do weird shit.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of highly qualified people doing a lot of really advanced work who also are sketchy or just strange or maybe just multifaceted, run bordellos on the side, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, he's obviously a transgressive individual to come out and say all this, you know, so it's not like, wow, how crazy, out of character.
He seems really conservative, though. Like he seemed like he was coming out because he's like stressed out by it, by keeping the secret. And yeah, it's a good question about whether it should be a secret because, I mean, my default is
they should tell me.
Oh, obviously. They should tell me first. I'll decide whether you should find out. Just get a sense of your mood for the day. No, she's a little volatile today, guys. We'll tell her tomorrow. Maybe. But yeah, I don't know, because it could cause like mass hysteria. Although, I mean, this could be another thing, is that maybe they already know definitively that these are alien craft. Maybe they've even made contact, and what they're doing now is spending a few years releasing and re-releasing footage of UFOs to see how people react, to see if they panic. And they're probably sitting there going, what the fuck?
Did you guys read this?
Nobody even cares anymore about UFOs. If this was 20 years ago, it would have been like the world would have been turned upside down. But now people are just like, oh yeah, it's UFOs, great. Did you know Donald Trump is our president? I mean, I really think he desensitized us to like everything.
Yeah.
I spent every day fearing nuclear holocaust, So yeah, aliens are noteworthy, but unless they're going to help like get us out of these holes we dig ourselves in. Anyway, so that could be a thing. Like, maybe they're testing the waters or acclimating.
That
us.
makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know what society would do with that information besides create conspiracy theories and paranoid groups. And,
paranoid groups, cults.
Yeah,
religious wars.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there a lot of good would come of it.
Well, I mean, it depends really on what kind of contact we have with the aliens. I mean, I think
if we knew they were coming, like, yeah, we should know that. But if they just kind of vaguely know there's spaceships coming in and out,
well, I think the long-term effect would be positive. It might take a while to get there, but the effect it would have on scientists. I mean, think of the next generation of explorers and engineers and how inspired they would be.
That's a good point.
I mean, I might go join NASA if we find aliens,
Sure you will.
I mean, first I just go to college, I guess. NASA doesn't really hire a lot either, They have budgetary constraints. You get my point, though. I would want to get involved in some way.
Yeah, that is a good point. So, did you hear they're going to give the Chauvin verdict today?
Yeah.
Like they might as soon as now, possibly.
Yeah, I think around now, maybe in the next 10 minutes or so.
We should you should look it up on your phone in a bit and see. Yeah. That's wild to me. Like, okay, I know it takes a while for things to go to trial. So, this happened like a year ago. So that wasn't a big surprise, even though it's like, I wonder, it's like, why does it take so long? But then it went to trial and it feels like it was so quick. The trial itself
I think so.
Didn't take long at all.
Yeah, and the deliberation I think was quick too. Like I think they just went into deliberations today and then they were done, which isn't uncommon, but sometimes it takes a long time because they have to reach unanimous. Or wait, I think to convict they have to reach unanimous decision.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So this probably means conviction.
I hope so, yeah, if it came real quick, because I don't know too many people that don't think he should be convicted.
Yeah, and I feel like if it wasn't, like if they weren't all in agreement, then they would still be deliberating. I think that's usually what draws it out, is they have to argue. That must be weird. I've never had jury duty.
I haven't either.
Really? I used to hear about it all the time. Like everybody I know has been like 3 or 4 times to get jury duty.
Yeah, and they hate it.
Yeah.
It sounds really interesting to me.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on the case, but still, like, I would be kind of stoked if I got called in. I was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, yeah. So curious to see how that goes. I think at the time the time that George Floyd was killed and Chauvin was arrested and all that, I was thinking that murder sounds pretty plausible. But then later I was thinking it just might be closer to manslaughter, and it's also state by state. They have different definitions of things, so. It really just depends on how they define the terms.
Right.
He's definitely guilty of something.
Sure.
Manslaughter, it may be more appropriate because with manslaughter, you don't necessarily have the intent to murder someone, but what you're doing is so wrong that you should know you could kill them, and therefore you are guilty.
I feel like that's what closely describes it to me. I
murder,
don't think Chauvin's like a great guy or anything, but I don't think it was preemptive. I don't think he wanted to kill him necessarily. I think he was just extremely negligent and doing his job poorly.
Yeah. I think regardless, he definitely should never be a cop again.
Yeah.
And he should do time, and he should have a record. But whether it's whether it's premeditated or whether it's even second degree murder, that's a stretch. But manslaughter is not a stretch.
Yeah.
He clearly fucked up, and he was doing something that he obviously knew was dangerous, and he wasn't doing it in a responsible way, and it led to somebody's death. So yeah, that's like the nicest way of putting it.
Right.
Is that he caused somebody's death through bad behavior, I guess.
Right.
It may have been murder. But that just seems, I don't know, less in terms of court, making a case in court, that seems like a less solid argument.
Yeah, I guess the one way you could make that case is like maybe like his emotions got the best of him. Like he was so angry in the moment that he ended up
second
killing-
degree murder.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Could be.
could be, but yeah, manslaughter seems more accurate to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. It just another angle to consider. I don't remember if we talked about it at the time, but the manner of death. Apparently, a lot of people just don't know about it. They don't know that compressing somebody's chest with your knee can kill them.
Yeah, people are very focused on the knee to the neck.
Yeah, the knee to the neck, which also that's another tactic that you're not supposed to do for an extended period of time. But it's one of those things that looks worse than it is. But when I looked at the video and saw his other knee on the center of George Floyd's back, that's what got my attention, because that's what compresses the diaphragm. There's first of all, just having somebody face down with their hands behind their back is already a risk of suffocation. People die just from being in that position. And then if you lean on them, it's very likely that they're going to die. Mm-hmm. And that's something that people just don't, it's not intuitive, and people don't seem to know it. I didn't see it covered in the press. The first medical examiner report didn't mention anything about positional or compressive asphyxia, just traumatic asphyxia.
Yeah.
The second one, though, was correct, and it mentioned postural and compressive asphyxia.
Yeah. The video is just so, like, it's just so jarring to see, like, his knee on his neck. I think people are just very focused on that, which is understandable. It's
and
a horrific video.
And most of the video is from the angle where you can't even see his other knee.
Yeah, and I think you had to, like, see a video from behind, from a distance, to see that his other knee was on his back.
Yeah.
Ugh, I shudder to think what will happen if he's not convicted, especially here in Portland.
Yeah.
Kiss our city goodbye.
Yeah, I think we still have like I guess not riots, but we still have
People go out.
I mean, I just saw, I think last night there were like businesses destroyed or windows broken or something by the hooligans.
Yeah.
I guess still protesting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if you want to call it that.
What are they up to? What are they getting at these days?
I don't know. I mean, they'll find things. There was this one a few months ago that they were protesting. It was, and I don't know the details. I'm not saying it was good or bad to protest it or worthy of being protested, but it was like a family. They were black, people of color, not white, getting evicted from their house, and people thought that it wasn't fair and it was based on racism. So like they were the exhaustion, I think, from the George Floyd protesters kind of like channeled into that, and so protesters here are just kind of finding little individual local things to rabble about,
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember seeing like some footage of like a cop car trying to like slowly come in, and like just a crowd of people were just like yelling at them and throwing rocks at them, and they had to like retreat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember the autonomous zone?
We never quite had one here in Portland.
Yeah, we did. Well, I mean,
not
they
like
were calling
Chaz.
it. No, not like that. It failed a lot quicker.
Yeah,
With
they
their
kept
little
yeah.
Lego roadblocks.
They would be we had an autonomous zone for maybe like isolated hours at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were trying to do it around our mayor's condo.
Right, yeah. All right.
Ted Wheeler. Fucking Ted Wheeler.
Man. Yeah, last year was pretty weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird year.
Yep.
This year's pretty normal so far.
So nice. The sun is shining.
Yeah.
It's bright. People are
Got
getting
vaccines.
vaccinated. Oh my God. Vaccines are rolling out. It just feels like a rebirth in a very positive direction to me the last few days.
Yeah, me too. Me too, for sure.
We've got, kind of good things going on in our lives. You got, accepted for a pretty cool job. And
Yeah, I got some new freelance writing gigs coming into play they're pretty cool. One in particular. Yeah, that's things are definitely looking up. Mm-hmm. And you went shooting for the first time.
Yeah.
Recently, you fired guns.
I did gun stuff.
Yeah, gun stuff.
So last year, Kevin told me I should get a gun. I was like, no.
A Mossberg 590A1 for those who care. Tactical
I
shotgun.
don't want a gun. I don't really like guns. But yeah, Kevin convinced me to get one. And then for a year, we did the thing that you're not supposed to do, which is have a gun in the house that you don't know how to use.
Well. Yeah,
I know you knew how to use it.
No, I really didn't. I don't even know how to use a shotgun. But
Well, I can teach you.
yeah, well, I was waiting for the pandemic to be over to go to a range, but then you got the hookup at an unofficial range.
But didn't we get it kind of because of the pandemic?
Yes, I was keeping an eye on how it was going. That's why I got the gun and the ammo, and I'm like, all right, training is for if we have time later before the riot reaches our neighborhood, you know?
Yeah, I guess. Anyways, so this gun just kind of sat there for a year until finally I asked my stepdad to take me out shooting, and my stepdad is like loves guns, and he he was so excited to take me. He's very much like the strong, silent type, just kind of chills. Like, you know, you don't really often see him like get excited and start talking about something the way people do. He just kind of like says things here and there. But man, once I asked him if he would teach me how to shoot a shotgun, he did not shut up in a good way. Like he was just like, well, let me show you my guns. And he shows me a safe. He has like 24 of them.
Nice.
Started giving me all these lessons about revolvers and bullets and all this stuff. And then, we went out last Sunday and I brought my shotgun. Went out with a couple friends and went to this really beautiful area in Washington. Perfect clear blue skies. Had this little area where we set up with little clay, what do they call them? Little
clay pigeons.
Clay pigeons and stuff like that. Made a little shooting range and just shot them. And so I got to shoot my shotgun for the first time, which I was really nervous because I've seen enough like people giving themselves black eyes or just like not knowing how to shoot it and dislocating their shoulder or whatever.
Right. It's different guns. Like any gun with the scope, you have to be careful. And then elephant guns, those are the ones that dislocate shoulders.
Okay. I mean, my stepdad said with mine, that's about as bad as it gets. Maybe he meant in terms of just shotguns.
What? What's as bad?
Kickback.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He said it was about as bad as it gets.
But yeah, have you ever seen an elephant gun?
No.
It's like a gun to shoot elephants with. It's like twice the size of your shotgun.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's not a shotgun though. It's a hunting rifle.
Well, anyways, like he showed me how to like, you know, where to position it on my shoulder and how to, you know, keep it firm and all that. And I was able to shoot my own gun for the first time. Like I was the first one to shoot it and it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. And it is a powerful gun.
Yeah, it is. But like I was like expecting like 3 times as bad. And I was just like, oh, okay. If you know it's coming, then it's fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting it braced in the right place. You and a couple other people I've seen for the first time holding it, for some reason, naturally put the stock, the bracing part up over your shoulder. Mm-hmm. And when you did it, I was like, stupid female human. But then I saw a dude do it. I'm like, oh, I guess that's just like a natural thing for people who don't.
Well, he was Australian too.
Yeah. Australians don't know guns.
They don't know guns
much at all. But if you had fired it like that would have been a different story.
Yeah, I can see why. Anyways, I got to shoot that. I got to shoot a double barrel shotgun. I got to shoot a revolver, and I got to shoot an AR-15.
Nice,
which was pretty badass.
Yeah,
it was a magazine of about like 30 bullets.
Yeah,
one of those. You know, it's the gun they're trying to get banned.
Right. Yeah, it's usually high on the list. Mm-hmm. Partly because people think AR stands for assault rifle, which it doesn't.
Right.
It's a brand name. I can never remember what the brand is. I have a whole list in my head that I've been maintaining and updating for like decades of all the different guns I want. Do you want to hear the list?
Sure.
I want to see if I can remember them all. Okay, the first one was the Beretta M9, which I got. And then I got the M9A3, which is the updated version. Then a Peacemaker, which is like an old-timey Western pistol, kind of like the revolver you shot, but not really. Then originally there was a Remington 12-gauge Assault Marine Edition shotgun, but I've adjusted that to probably the Mossberg 590A1 that you have, I think, with a different grip because you have the pistol grip. So I would want to probably modify the grip to a Magpul, I think. And then an AK-47 or one of the AK derivatives. Tommy gun. Do you know what a Tommy gun is? With the big barrel, like the old gangster guns from like the 20s movies. They still make those.
Oh, nice.
Or at least they did when I was making this list when I was 9. I got the Thompson Company's catalog. They make all the parts separately, so you can like order it and put it together and like optimize it and customize it.
You really want all these guns?
Yeah. The Tommy gun, by the way, those are 45 caliber, 100 round barrels. Mm-hmm. That is a serious fucking gun. Yeah. That's why they take out cars with it in the gangster movies, you know? Mm-hmm. And then a couple I don't know enough about rifles really to say, but some kind of rational hunting rifle would be good because none of these are for hunting so far. And then a 50 cal sniper rifle just because that sounds really cool. Mm-hmm. And it shoots through a whole engine block with one bullet. Jesus. So yeah, people take out trucks with one shot. One of those things.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that's the core list. At one point I added a Colt Python, which is Rick Grimes' gun from The Walking Dead. I don't know if that's gonna really make the list though, because realistically, like that's a huge gun, and they also quit making them. So like as it wears out over time, it'll be harder and harder to optimize and maintain. So it might just be more of a disappointment to have it when I can't fire it anymore. Oh, and the concealed carry gun that I have planned is a Smith & Wesson 38 Special Snub Nose 642 airweight model with a shrouded hammer. 5-shot. The end.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I liked shooting guns. I liked learning about them. I don't see myself like becoming a gun person though.
Yeah. You said you were when you got back. You said I'm a gun person now.
Oh, I just wanted you to think I was cool.
Oh. I don't care if you're a gun person. I mean, I do because it could be like a fun hobby we can do together.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of hobbies that we both enjoy.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of my enjoyment just came from getting out of the house and going out on a beautiful day and learning something new.
Yeah, being able to do it out in the wilderness where you would just go hiking or something is very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice not to have to worry about going to like a gun range.
Yeah, I've always gone to ranges. It's the only place I've ever fired a gun, and I that's fine. But I'm always a little nervous because like people really are not safe enough for my tastes. I just see too many hobbyists who really just don't know what they're doing, and it's dangerous,
Yeah.
But yeah, having a cool place out in the woods. I mean, there's some danger there too. If there could be other people nearby, since it's not an official range, you could potentially have crossfire or something.
Yeah.
But it looked cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I will say we're going again this Sunday as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to teach you how to clean that thing. First, I got to learn how to clean that thing, and then teach you how to clean it.
I got to practice with it more with those not empties, whatever you call them.
Yeah, the dummy rounds.
The dummy rounds.
Yeah, there's a brand called Snapcap that we use that I use for it's to practice loading and unloading and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty easy though. I'd like to learn how to aim better too. I was really like practicing with the revolver to like really hit the clay pigeons, and it's hard because it was like I would shoot and then my stepdad would say something like, "Oh, you're a little low, or you're this or that," but I couldn't really tell. Like I don't know if I just like I need to kind of practice more and kind of get an eye for it. But I would just shoot, and I mean obviously I could tell where I was trying to aim, but like once the bullet left, I couldn't really tell.
Couldn't tell where it hit.
Yeah, unless it was like close to my target.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I it was hard to correct myself. And then also after every shoot, like I just felt more shaky and more kind of like my heart was racing.
Yeah.
So like the more I did it, the worse I was probably getting really. So I had to take breaks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and I guess muscular endurance would come into play too, because
Yeah.
some of those guns are pretty heavy.
Oh yeah, especially the big ones. Yeah, like I was holding even just my own gun for a while, and I was just like, all right, my arms are feeling like Jello a little bit, so set it down.
It might be good to get like a full size paper target so that you can actually see where you're hitting if you don't hit close to the center.
Oh, we did that. So we had like little bright orange clay pigeons that were kind of like, we had one that were 50 feet, I think, and then maybe 100 feet, and then beyond that there was a board with paper plates. And when I started using the AR-15, I was shooting that far and trying to hit it, and I was confused because I didn't realize they were paper plates, and I'm just like, man, I'm not hitting this, because I was waiting for them to break,
Right.
But then once we were all done, we looked at the paper plates, and you could see like the little tiny nicks from my shotgun, like spray, and then like the bigger ones were from the AR-15.
Nice.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
cool.
that was one thing that helped me when I used to shoot my Beretta was I was very consistently off in the same spot, and that helped. The consistency, helped me figure out that I had my finger on the trigger in the wrong part of my finger. I was squeezing with the wrong spot. So yeah, having the wider target can help if you're missing. From what you're describing, it sounds like you probably got some of that, I guess. It's kind of hard to imagine your setup, but yeah, as long as you can tell where you're hitting, that helps.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like a dust kicking up or something, you get a rough idea
Yeah.
of what you're doing wrong and how to correct. And then also some guns are just a little inaccurate themselves, so you can learn that particular gun, like how to correct with that gun.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get an AK. I never used to want that, because I always heard bad things about them, that they're just like cheap and inaccurate. But it's not really true. They are cheap, but they're not as inaccurate as people say. They are if you're like a sharpshooter. But I'm not a Marine. I'm not going to be out there like sniping people. It's for mid-range rifles. it's a really good option from what I hear. Mm-hmm. And it looks neat.
Yeah. And for people who are like anti-gun or like, especially outside of America, being like fucking Americans and their guns. One thing that always stuck with me, which was when I was listening to Colin Noir, who's like this NRA guy, but I don't know, not in a nutty way. I think he's pretty smart and rational, and I like listening to his interviews. But anyways, he made the point. It's like, whatever you feel about guns, living in America, we have more guns than people. They're here. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So you should at least know how to use one, whether you like them or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair argument.
Yeah. And speaking for myself, I am pro gun control also, which might sound somewhat antithetical given the laundry list of guns I just listed. But yeah, I think when I bought my first gun, I was shocked at how easy it was. I wanted it to be more difficult. I still want it to be more difficult. I think that guns should be controlled, especially handguns. And I also want to know how to use them for the reasons you said. Also, I was raised by a homicide detective, and I think from an early age I've been very acutely aware of the dangers of people and weapons. And so it was just entirely natural for me. It was never a question in my head, as far as I can remember, as to whether I would be comfortable with guns. It was just obviously.
Yeah.
But I understand the other angle too, and I'm glad people are not comfortable with guns overall. I don't know that I agree that everybody should just know how to use a gun. But it's honestly kind of a footnote for me, because I do agree with even the people who don't want to know how to use a gun, never even want to touch a gun. I support that too, and I would like to have a world where that's a more viable option.
Yeah.
Where I don't have a compulsion to feel like I need to know how to use a gun.
Yeah. Well, let me be clear. If there's any bad people listening, you don't need to learn how to use a gun.
Yeah,
but
no.
for the good people.
Yeah. The bad people don't need any weapons.
Yeah.
No fighting training. Just,
you know who you are. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Because, yeah, if you were to ask me, do you think everyone should know how to use a gun? I'd be like, eh. But when I say, like, no, you should, whoever you is,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, not you, but you
Yeah.
you in general, but not you. You know who you are.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I do wonder a lot about how much of my interest in guns is just purely like movies, like growing up watching gun movies, because they do make it look cool, kind of like smoking, same thing. And I try to be cognizant of that influence as well. But yeah, I don't know. I do enjoy it too. I don't mean to say that I only know guns just because I may need it someday and I'm so responsible. They are fun, but they're also incredibly dangerous and frightening. And I'd like it if they were to go away.
Yeah, fair enough.
But in the meantime,
Gimme.
I want a Tommy gun. Full auto 45 caliber gangster gun.
Yeah, that's kind of the paradox of guns here. It's like, we don't want them here, but since they're here,
Right.
give them to me.
Yeah. You know who's a funny gun nut is Hunter S. Thompson.
Oh yeah,
That's
I can see that.
He's a classic like contradictory sort of character, because he was a lunatic. I remember I saw a Conan episode once. Conan O'Brien went out to Hunter Thompson's ranch in like Colorado or something, and they were like tossing dynamite and grenades and shotguns everywhere, and it was just total madhouse. And Thompson is like pretty far left liberal, I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure he is. He might be a libertarian or something.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, he was a classic, like, I mean, he was a psychedelic figurehead, and also just totally obsessed with massive caliber guns. It's interesting.
That was interesting.
It's a weird guy. Poor
Yeah,
dude.
you think?
Yeah. And did you know that he kept up writing a sports column practically until he died?
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just always just
Like his kind of day job?
Yeah. Yeah, he for I think decades he was a sports writer. He actually was stationed in the Air Force in my hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Pensacola, that area. Some of his stories are set there on the Air Force Base. I actually worked on that Air Force Base.
Doing what?
Sheet metal construction. You ever seen hangars? Like
Wire hangers?
No, like the like jet hangars and helicopter hangars will have the giant like steel building that they keep like planes in.
Okay.
So I was putting sheet metal on these 60-foot tall sliding doors that they used to house C-130s, which are tank planes. Mm-hmm. They're planes so big that they carry tanks, which is just hard to even imagine. But yeah, I put the metal paneling on those doors.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a cool job.
Nice.
Found some black widows out there on our last day when we were cleaning up. Could have died any moment.
Jesus.
Yeah, we captured him. My brother and I put him in a little water bottle,
And then what?
turned him into the foreman, and he was like, cool, whatever. He was from Ohio and didn't know that Florida has deadly spiders, didn't know black widows were dangerous. We had to explain it to him. He didn't believe us at first.
You know black widows were dangerous?
No.
I thought everyone knew that. Like,
I mean-
we don't even have black widows up here, but I've known
No.
that since I was a kid.
Yeah, I think people just assume maybe they're just like painful or irritating to be bit by or something. I don't know. I was shocked too. I
That's
just
weird.
figured everybody, because when he saw it, he didn't react, and once he knew it was a black widow, he still didn't react.
Weird.
There's other spiders that I thought looked like black widows until I saw black widows, because they're identifiable by the red hourglass on their abdomen. But there are other spiders that have a very similar design.
Yeah, aren't there brown widows too?
There are, yes, and then there's brown recluse spiders as well, which are really scarier because they hide in like shoes and gloves. That's why they're called recluse, because they'll just hide out in a boot and then bite your toe off.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but black widows are very. Once you see an actual black widow, it's like, oh, okay, that's a black widow. Because the other ones I saw, they were just like weird spiders that kind of had a weird little red hourglass. They didn't look threatening. They didn't look like what I imagined a black widow to be. The black widow has a big bulbous abdomen that's matte black and like super smooth, and then the bright red hourglass on it. And their nests are crazy too. They're like spherical. They look like cotton balls basically, but with spikes all over them.
Oh, wow.
Just really creepy looking. Just the whole thing was really unsettling.
Damn.
And sitting there eating lunch with them in a little bottle next to me was like, ugh. It's
So
not
wait,
cool.
what did you do after you showed it to the foreman?
I think we just gave him to him, and then he turned him into somebody in the Air Force chain of command.
Oh.
Because I mean, they had like hundreds.
Why didn't you just crush him?
It's more. I mean, if you want somebody to do something about it, it helps if you still have the specimen. Because we were passing him along.
What are they going to do? Like tell all the other black widows to go away?
Hire exterminators.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense.
Because it was our last day, so like we didn't have to worry
Try
about it.
reasoning with the one black widow. Tell
Listen,
all your
buddy.
friends not to come around here.
I don't know who gave you this idea, but it's not going to fly. But no, it was our last day. But like the Air Force was still, doing Air Force shit there. It was a special ops base, so they had a lot of people coming in too, like visitors coming in to train for special ops, ranger training, Army Rangers. They actually had a couple Army Rangers die there during
shit.
training. They froze to death. People. This is another thing about Florida. People don't believe half the time. The two things people don't believe: one, it gets freezing cold and snows occasionally in Florida. And two is that part of it is in the central time zone.
Yeah.
Both of those are true. I promise. It's Chicago time zone.
Kevin's making shit up.
But yeah, we had there were a couple when I think not long before I was working out there, two Rangers died of exposure in the woods out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's terrible. That is tough training.
Is that cup empty?
No.
Oh.
Is she drinking coffee? Kimiko, you drink coffee
I
now?
mean, she's sticking her face in there. I don't know if you want that.
I found her drinking tea the other day. She was drinking my tea.
No.
I took it from her because of the caffeine. I figured
nice
it'd be
of you.
bad. Yeah. Just going to get hooked. Did you stick your tongue in my coffee, you stupid cat?
So I wanted to talk about the QAnon documentary that we saw.
Oh, yeah.
Into the Storm.
Yeah.
6-part series.
Mm-hmm.
It's on HBO. And I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. When I saw the first episode, it blew my fucking mind because I knew like nothing about QAnon. All I knew about QAnon was that it was like some kind of conspiracy theory and they like Trump. That was about it. I had no idea how fucking bananas it is.
Yeah. It's pretty bananas.
So, I guess spoiler because I'm not going to hold back about the
Just cut
documentary
loose.
thing.
Just do it.
Just going to talk about it. So basically, for those who don't know, QAnon basically started with these Q drops is what they're called. And all it is someone anonymously posting these in forums, like I think maybe on Reddit or stuff like that. And then like it kept getting banned. And so later it only found a home on like 4chan and then 8chan. But if you read them, it's just anonymous posts. Each line is like a sentence. It's usually all in caps and it's very vague. And the person posting it is supposedly this person named Q who has what do they call it? Q security?
Q level security clearance, which
Yeah.
is one of the highest level. It's a real security clearance. It's in the Department of Energy, actually, because the Department of Energy oversees nuclear secrets. So it's basically one of the highest rated security clearances in the U.S. government.
Right.
And supposedly this person has it.
Right. So that's the theory. And then, I mean, these posts are just, I don't think they're very interesting, but, you know, it's this person claiming that they're close to the White House and have all this information. And from that, people believe that there are thousands of people within Hollywood and the political world that basically...
Hundreds of thousands
that are, not joking, eating babies, drinking their blood, raping them.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
And that
Trump,
they're all... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and that Trump is any minute now, or at least at the time, I don't know what they believe now, is going to come out and arrest them all.
Yeah, mass arrest. Hundreds of thousands of people in a mass arrest,
Right.
all part of this devil-worshipping, baby-eating pedophile circle.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a branch off of Pizzagate. But the thing about Pizzagate was that, like, it was somewhat short-lived because that theory was that this one specific pizza restaurant had a child trafficking ring and was secretly, you know, pimping out these kids to, again, Hillary Clinton or Tom
Right.
Hanks or whatever. But that was easily debunked because it was claimed that it was at the basement of this pizza restaurant, and this pizza restaurant had no basement.
Right, and a guy showed up shooting
Right.
shooting a rifle to rescue these kids, which, I mean, you know, props for trying if you believe this.
Right.
But then, I mean, that's a pretty good opportunity for the cops to look around and say, oh, not only is there no basement, but there's also no child trafficking.
Yeah, so that theory, I think, kind of died out because it was just very easily debunked. But with Q, it's like they explain in the documentary that it's vague enough. Like it's the perfect like cocktail for confirmation bias because Q will say something and then later something will happen that will seem like a prophecy. Like it will seem like, oh, Q predicted this. So it's just people kind of finding these patterns
And there's thousands of
ignoring,
them.
yeah, and ignoring what doesn't, you know,
Yeah, something got in the way, or somebody,
or that doesn't matter, or you
nefarious actor.
misunderstood. So
Yeah.
it's just vague enough that people can just kind of run wild with interpretation. And so that, just learning about it, I was like, holy shit, I did not realize it was that wacky. The documentary itself, I feel like after a while, I didn't find it too interesting because the focus of the documentary was that the documentary filmmaker wanted to figure out who Q is. And I guess maybe that should be interesting, but I kind of didn't care. Relative, like I just kind of wanted to learn more about the conspiracy theory and like what kind of people it affects and like what they believe and how their families are affected and stuff like that. And yeah, the filmmaker was just kind of more obsessed with figuring out who was making these Q drops, and he was mostly focused on the two. There's Frederick, can't think of his last name. He's the one who made 8chan. And then he later sold it to a father-son. The father, I think, was the one that was like platforming it after a while in not Malaysia, but the Philippines. And then his son was like the code guy. And it was the father-son that he was kind of focused on, thinking that one of them was Q. And again, spoiler, by the end of it, he just kind of determined that it was the son. But it was like, it was the reason I was like, really, that's it? And he felt like he caught him admitting it, but
Yeah.
he didn't. The footage that he claims is like the gotcha is the kid saying, I say kid, he's like in his 20s, but the guy saying that he goes by Code Monkey. He's just saying something about Q and theory. He's like, oh, you know, someone could do this, but I'm not Q. And he
Right.
kind of smiles nervously. He's like, I'm not Q. And the filmmaker interpreted that as him saying that he was, because he
Right.
smiled weirdly.
Yeah.
And then he's
It
like,
was
gotcha, the end, roll credits.
There's a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Yeah, I was just like, and don't get me wrong, I think they are absolutely up there on the suspect list, but I don't think it was quite the gotcha that he thought it was. And I was kind of like scratching my head that he was pointing at that footage as just like, there we go, I solved the case.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think you did.
Yeah, because it was in a conversation where the kid, was it Jim or Ron? I keep forgetting which one was which.
Ron was the kid, Code Monkey.
Okay.
I think. Oh,
Or was
I
Ron
might
the
be
dad?
wrong.
Anyway, whatever.
Say
Code Monkey.
Code Monkey, yeah.
He was talking about how like he for years behind the scenes he's been doing all this like, you know, activism and blah blah, and now he's doing it publicly on Twitter, and that's the only difference is that it's not secret anymore. And it kind of it did perfectly line up with the Q timeline, but then that was followed by the gotcha. Oh, I'm not Q.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Q. You know. But then there was a lot of other cases throughout the documentary where other people were pretty clearly implicated, either by witnesses who said they knew who Q was, who were covertly recorded, or by things like Steve Bannon's IP address. Ultimately, I think what's most likely is that Q is probably several different people, maybe operating together. Probably not, though. Probably like maybe one was for a while and then stopped. Maybe I don't
Someone
know.
else like picked it up.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe I got.
Yeah, and maybe they were even like competing Qs. Like maybe there were other people who were like, "No, I'm Q. No, I'm Q." You know, like maybe
Right.
I don't know. But there were enough people who like. There was the one guy who became really concerned that Q's style of writing changed dramatically, and then suddenly all of his posts came from one static IP address instead of his usual method of switching up IP addresses and devices and writing in a different manner, which is pretty good forensic analysis. I mean, that would indicate that there was a change. And then later it was suggested that this IP address, this static IP that goes to Steve Bannon's neighborhood, was actually just Code Monkey spoofing an IP address that goes to Steve Bannon's neighborhood as a red herring. And that may be too. I don't know. But I don't, there was no smoking gun. I did not feel like there was ever like a really solid conclusion in any way you cut it.
Yeah, and after a while, like I said, I just didn't really care. Like it turned into more of a documentary about those characters, which I think they're definitely interesting characters. But I don't know. It was that, and then also the narrative itself was just kind of weak. Like it was hard to follow like a cohesive kind of storyline, which I know is hard to do in a documentary because life isn't like a storyline. You know, it is just kind of a hodgepodge of anecdotes and things that happen and all that, but that is the art of making a documentary, is trying to fit all that into a kind of compelling storyline. So I feel like that was kind of lacking because at first I just wasn't really even sure where it was going or what the point was. I feel like the guy didn't ask a lot of real basic questions.
Yeah.
Like I remember when he first started talking to the 8chan trio, it was like, I kept wondering, I was like, do they believe in Q?
Right.
That was an obvious question that I was like really confused about. Because at first the dad was pretending like he doesn't even get involved. Code Monkey would talk a lot about Q and kind of what it's about and seem very proud of like 8chan and all that. But even that, it wasn't clear if he actually believed in it or not.
And then he would claim that he didn't really follow it at
Yeah.
other times, despite knowing everything about it.
That was another thing that was very suspicious about Code Monkey is he would say things that were very inconsistent.
Yeah.
For sure. So who knows? But yeah, at the end of the day, I was like, I don't think I really even care. Unless they actually, like, without a doubt, found out who Q was. That would be interesting. But the fact that it just kind of ended in this fizzle of like, haha, gotcha, I guess.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed more of the stuff that you didn't enjoy more, and vice versa. Like in the early episode, like the first one or two, where they were talking more to like the conspiracy theorists, the Q people, and all that. I found that less interesting. I felt like it was important to have some of it so I could kind of get my head around who are these people. But it got less interesting and kind of more disturbing. And it was just like sad and weird. And but then when they started going behind the scenes and talking to like Fred, Jim, Ron, and then like all the weird white supremacist movement that got tacked on to 8chan, and then the cultural shifts in zeitgeist and the kind of the abstractions that emerged from it, that stuff became really interesting. And some of the legal battles and whatnot. I could have watched that for like another 10 episodes probably, without a conclusion.
Yeah.
But by the time it ended, it just felt like it was straining to put together a cohesive story.
Yeah. It definitely made me think a lot about like freedom of speech and stuff like that, because I thought the Frederick character, who's probably like the most sympathetic character because he started 8chan, but then later, after a lot of like mass shooters who were on the site, like for instance the Christchurch shooting and stuff like that, that was like live streamed on 8chan, and people were like supporting it and all this pretty dark stuff. He later was just like, all right, this is actually really fucked up, and he distanced himself from it. So he kind of became a more sympathetic character. But he said something really interesting, which was like talking about freedom of speech and how important, you know, it is to him. But then he said, you know, it's hard to see a site like 8chan, which is like really pushing the boundaries of freedom of speech and not have your values shaken a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a good point, you know, because it's a lot of really, you know, there was child porn on there apparently, like lots of really dark racism, white supremacy stuff, you know, people saying that rape should be legal, all this sort of thing.
All the Hitler worship.
Yeah, the Hitler worship, like all sorts of kind of just really dark stuff. And it's terrifying because, like, I remember hearing that, like, if you bring antisocial people, especially boys, together, they become more antisocial. Like, I guess there was this experiment, or not experiment, but like they were trying to help a bunch of antisocial boys one time. So they kind of brought them all together, kind of like in a camp or something like that, to like help them. But that just made things worse because they became more antisocial interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot with like incel forums, where it's just like, oh my God, it's just this bleak pit of people just validating their just dark feelings of just nihilism.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't have experience with that exactly, but I've mentioned before that I worked in a middle management of a big tech company for years, and there was a pattern of behavior and mentality in the middle managers that was pretty dominant and aggressive and hostile, and it kind of achieved a level of equilibrium within itself. But then moving on to other companies from there and seeing how they operate, I really am increasingly aware of how pathological it is to have a self-reinforcing net of pathological personalities. Because it's not like they were deluded by having more of them around.
Right.
They were self-selecting. There was a selection bias, and the in-group of middle management became basically Machiavellian psychopaths.
Yeah.
And I could see that happening if you take a bunch of antisocial teenagers and put them together in a camp. They'd come out a squad of killers, and like half of them are probably dead by the end of it.
Totally. And it's sad because, like, I think people that, you know, value free speech want to think that you just combat bad ideas with good ideas. But I think
it's a start, but
yeah, but if you know, apparently it's kind of like a cancer. If you make a platform where people with bad ideas can just come together, like they're not, it's its own bleak echo chamber that could, you know, potentially be very, I don't know, detrimental to someone who's just sort of developing these ideas and trying to figure out how the world works, you know?
Yeah, and I'd be curious whether there's more benefit in maintaining platforms like that so that it's easier to keep track of these people. Because the FBI is on that shit 24/7. The FBI knows every single thing that's ever posted on that site the minute it's posted. They were talking about how they get reports from the FBI of things that are posted, like a death threat gets posted, and 1 minute later the FBI is in their email, like, take care of this, you know. And
yeah.
so, like, on the one hand, it's good to have these people all in this, somewhere like this where they're being
seen.
watched. Yeah. But on the other hand, speaking to your point, maybe it's just radicalizing them more. And then somebody else is making the point in the documentary that really, like, the Christchurch shooter wasn't radicalized on 8chan. He was radicalized by YouTube, which is a known issue. The algorithms on YouTube, they stoke controversy because that's what leads to engagement, and it does radicalize people. It does lead to violence. I don't know what to think of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Fred, he didn't just distance himself. He made it like a crusade to bring down 8chan. And didn't quite get there, but got him to change the name and such. Fuck is that? Anyway.
People doing construction out there.
Pretty interesting documentary.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. Like I said, I mean, I'm glad I saw it. I have kind of mixed feelings about it. I think it could have had a better filmmaker behind it, but definitely some interesting stuff in there. Yeah,
so rude.
I know. Hey, do you want to check if the Chauvin case?
Yeah.
Since we're near the end here, anyways.
I should have just gone to Twitter. Going to Google News.
Just say Chauvin verdict.
I'm just going to go to Google News. If I can remember how to work a phone.
You got this.
Guilty of murder and manslaughter.
Wow.
How does that work?
I don't know, but I'm sighing a sigh of relief just for the sake of just riots and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm glad justice was served, but also glad that, we probably won't have as many disturbances.
Yeah. Wow.
Guilty on all charges. I guess I don't know what he was charged with. So
I think there were 3 charges, but I don't know exactly what they were. I haven't really been following it. I've just
Oh.
been so exhausted by...
second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. How do you get charged with 3 overlapping charges? Maybe just because in case they couldn't make one, it's like, well, here's our backup. And then, like the
Maybe.
last one was second-degree manslaughter.
That's beyond my pay grade. I don't know.
But then if it's second-degree manslaughter, how can it also be second-degree unintentional murder? Those sound like they're the same thing. But then third-degree murder, I think third-degree murder is manslaughter, though.
I don't
That's
know.
weird.
That's
I wonder if
kinda
that's like a jurisdictional thing. Like he's in like 2 different counties.
Oh,
So-
maybe. Because didn't O.J. Simpson get like tried twice or something?
Well, he was found guilty in civil court. So the big difference is civil versus criminal.
Right.
If you're guilty in civil court, you can be liable for damages, like financial damages and stuff like that, but you don't go to jail, which is just crazy because you get charged for the same thing in criminal court. If you're guilty, you go to jail. But he was acquitted in criminal court and then convicted in civil court. So he probably had to like pay the family a lot or something. But those are separate trials, though.
Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that makes me feel better in sort of a dark sort of way. But,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also, it is good to see people held to account for what they do,
100%.
especially if it's somebody who acts like they're above the law, like a dirty cop.
Yeah. That's true.
And I mean, Chauvin had a record. He had, I think, with 19 formal complaints. I
Something
think.
like that.
Something
yeah.
ridiculous.
He was a dick.
Yeah, it's not a good dude. I'm glad that.
Even if he wasn't convicted, that man would never have been free. Like, he wouldn't be able to show his face anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he just went off and got like plastic surgery or something. Change his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Move to Brazil or Argentina. I mean, if they can tolerate Nazis, then...
They tolerate Nazis?
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know that... I can't blame Argentinians or Brazilians specifically, but I know a lot of Nazis fled to Brazil and Argentina
Oh, I didn't know that.
after the war, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so now there's still a fairly large German population in South America. Anyway.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, thanks. And go away.